I apologize for the interruptions, folks, and all that. Trust me, I am a lot more frustrated and mad than you guys are right now. But let's try one more time to get this done and do it right. These guys need a proper season finale send-off, so. See how it all works now. Okay. Everything seems fine at the moment. Alright. A little buffering here or there, that's fine. Okay. Let's see, maybe we got this fixed now. It looks like it. And again, folks, we do apologize in advance for the connection issues. We're back out on the track. We'll just call it as we see it. We don't have a lap counter. We don't have any way of knowing, so we're just going to wing this one here tonight as the one you don't mess with Tex with McCarthy going on the inside there. Apollo's the throttle trying to hold her own there on the outside. These two doing battle once again. They go side by side out of turn 4 here and down the front straight away we go. McCarthy trying to hold her own there. Pottle's trying to get around her there. Inside there, come around on a turn 1 going into turn 2 here. Pottle's starting to find a line, but McCarthy just keeps on slamming the door there. Trying to say, I don't want an uninvited guest in my place there, Miss Pottles. You are not invited in. She brings him on down around turn 3 though. It says, I don't really care. I'm going to budge my way. Still no room there for Pottles. JR though, currently the race leader by a good chunk or so. He leads them off here right now, doing a pretty good job holding his own here. Bring him on down around out of turn 4 here. They bring him on in, Daddy Day, and that number 1 machine still trying to get some momentum build up, trying to get something to work on in for him into his favor here as they bring him on around out of turn 1 going into turn 2 here. Still no lap counter up. There's no way of knowing where these guys are at right now, but Daddy Day is giving it everything he can to hold on here, trying to get his very first season championship in, and what a way it would be to be able to take down one of the top tier drivers that have stuck around to the entire time for Pedal to the Metal Racing League in the NASCAR Heat Series to begin with. On back down around out of turn 1, they bring him on, it out. Daddy Day right in his sights though to the rearview mirror. One mishap, one little miscommunication there for Mr. JR, and good old JR is going to lose it here. Daddy Day is right on his tail here, folks. Back on around out of turn 4 yet again they go. These drivers not giving an inch, not giving any quit here as they bring them on down around turn 1 here. Time is of the essence for Daddy Day. Time is not on his side. He needs to get in a good position here to fill this clock and fill the stage out. I believe this is stage 2 at the moment as they bring him on around out of turn 3 going into turn 4 here. Daddy Day holding his own here as they bring him on around out of turn 4 they go. Daddy Day now building serious momentum to the inside there. JR gives the opening there. He let it open a little bit there. They bring him on around now. They'll get him side into each other. Daddy Day almost getting a clip of the rear bumper, but not quite there yet. They still are in the position. They're holding it out here. Still no room for mistake, no room for errors. They bring him on around out of turn 3. Bring him into turn 4 here. You can see how tight JR has to hold that line to keep Daddy Day away from passing him here. But Daddy Day just continues to get closer and closer here. This one not over yet, not to be undone and not to be defeated. JR trying to give it everything he can to hold on for just a little longer here. Bring him on down the back straightaway they go. JR now sees that he's got company. He's got Daddy Day right behind him in his sights still. And he's starting to get closer and closer. But how much is Daddy Day's tires being burnt in? That's the big question. Even though they're on custom setups, Hotland is known for burning up tires quicker than you know it. And he knows that he's going to try to hold his own here as they bring him on around out of turn 1. The way they go down, they'll hold him off. If we are having stream issues in YouTube, just let us know. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do. It's just the way YouTube's been working as of late with our internet. But I promise you, next time we do these YouTube videos, they'll be a lot better. As they bring them on around out of turn 1, they'll go down into turn 2 here. Sweet Daddy Day, Daddy D, whatever you want to call him. He's holding his own, but good old JR not going to quit just yet. They bring him on down around out of turn 3 now. JR holds the bottom, holds his key, holds his line. He needs to hang in there because Daddy Day is right behind him. Now to the inside, here comes Daddy Day, trying to mow some lawn, trying to get some positioning built up. Not going to get it this time. Slowing him on up, and Daddy Day will not get that win off stage 2. They'll go into stage 3. And this is going to be a heated one. We know where we're at now. They'll be in for a rough surprise here in this ending to Hotlanta. But boy, oh boy, this is going to be something here to say the least. And guys, again, it's been a hard fought road and a hard, serious battle between each other. But nonetheless, this is it. One last chance. The season title is on the line. One last opportunity. Can JR finally get the win he's been searching for all the times, all the struggles, all the battles he has been through in the Pedal to the Metal series? This win would mean more to him than anything, to finally be able to say he was the champion of the entire season and come out on top. We'll bring him on around one more time, and this is where it'll get interesting, folks, off this restart. Here we go. Title is on the line here. This is the final lap. This is the final stage, I should say, not laps. This will be it. Who wants it more? Who wants this more badly than the other? 81 laps. This is 81 laps to the distance. There's 31 laps remaining now. Here we go. On down around out of turn 1 immediately. You can see the driver starting to pile in there a little bit. Looks like the 32 of JKR getting a little bit loose there on the outside. Trying to hold his own, trying to stay out of trouble. He keeps it going here as the top 4 battle their way on in. JR holds his bottom line, holds his line, and holds his key. You can see McCarthy now battling her way on in this one. She's starting to make a run for it. Maybe trying to get one last little ticket in. She has not won a season championship ever with any series, whether it had been in iRacing or in the NASCAR Heat Series. You can guarantee she wants some, but here comes Young RCN to the inside there, pulls off the daily double off of Daddy Day and McCarthy. Now the inside there, JR's going to try to hold his own there. He's got company. JR trying to do everything he can to the outside. He's not going to get that momentum built up, though. Now Young RCN has overtaken for the lead for the first time this night. Young RCN from the struggles early to now finally getting something figured out here. He's got the race lead and a chance at PTM Immortality and become a season champion here, but he's got to hold on. Whoa, look out in the back there. We got some serious trouble going on there. That's between Daddy Day and McCarthy, Pottles, and JKR there on that back stretch. They're almost 3 wide already out of turn 4. In the inside now, you can see Paul's trying to get around Daddy Day. Daddy Day just trying to hope for a little bit of a miracle and a half, trying to get back up there with the leaders. On back round out of turn 1, they'll bring him on around down to turn 2. Here they go. McCarthy holding her own, trying to keep the pace alive and the momentum alive here. Bring him on around the back straightaway. We'll bring him on into turn 3. We'll bring him to turn 4. JKR trying to hang with him, trying to show that he can still do it. Out at Atlanta, it's like a Talladega Daytona track. Just put the pedal to the metal and hope to God it sticks. And that's exactly what these drivers are doing right now. Young Racing, I guarantee he's not lifting. Listen to this. Only right there do you hear a slight lift. That's literally him just kind of easing off the pedal so he can apex off that yellow line. Brings it right back up and then slingshots it straight up to the wall, and then he gets it right in there to where he wants to be. But you can see the distance that JR has on him right now. That is not much, folks. That's honestly a ticket and a half away from one little spin out or one little hiccup and costing Young RCN his entire race. If you're in the iRacing series, you know that simulation-wise, you even touch with these things and get them hitting loose. oh boy, you're going for a ride. But with these NASCAR Heat Series, because of that archaic-like feel, they're going to have to battle more towards the outside and the inside of each other to actually get them to even move really at all. And that's exactly what JR is trying to do right now, is trying to get the inside line away there from Young RCN. They bring him on around down out of turn 2. JR's got some serious momentum, but they make contact on the backstretch. They hold their own, but JR, serious contact there. He's still in it, trying to get that bumper into Young RCN. That front bumper made contact more than most relationships do at a kiss at France. JR right now still trying to hold his own, trying to get something in here. Young RCN trying to show off that he is a champion all around. He wants to finally have and secure his very first season championship. But in order to do so, he's still got to try and hold off JR here, folks. JR not giving an inch, not going to give him any room here. And it's definitely showing here between these drivers as they bring them on around now. Young RCN still in the hunt, still in the battle to get it all. But right now he's got to try to hold off JR yet again. JR with the big maneuver to the bottom. Side by side, they contact out of turn 2. Contact made there between the drivers, but caution's coming on out. Serious damage up on the front of the Freaky Fast delivery. Jimmy John's number 4 of Pottles the throttle. It's been a long, hard road for her here in this season after coming out of retirement. She's been telling me earlier that this is a lot more difficult to master than it was on the Heat 4 series. So she, hats off to these drivers for what they have to work with and what they have to deal with. But nonetheless, we'll bring them on around, and I believe we'll have about 20 laps left in this one after that. Back on around now, down turn 4 into the green flag restart zone. The Geico restart zone calls for them to go. Here we go. Early on yet again, Young RCN. Early jump, early advantage to the inside. Gets that maneuver around. JR, I guarantee, was definitely hoping for a better pit road there. Whoa, trouble there. G3 getting into Pottles yet again there. The 18 of G3 getting a little bit feisty there with Pottles. Pottles trying to get around him there. They work him on into the inside. Contact made there by G3 for Pottles. Serious connection made up between those two as JR has now overtaken the lead here. Now here comes McCarthy, the one you don't mess with. Texas working it on in. Daddy Day in the number 1 working him on in as well. Side by side yet again. These two go out of here out of turn 1 into 2. JR, Young RCN have not left each other's side since this began, and you can definitely tell that's a better love story than Twilight right now because they are just not leaving each other here. Bringing them on around now. JR to the outside. Slingshots it right up, but Young RCN, clever tactic, was trying to get back underneath, but it wasn't going to work. Crossover fail on his end, but not quite yet because he's still with it. JR is still trying to hold off him as well as 2 other drivers right behind him. The 3 white salute initiated already out of turn 2. McCarthy trying to hold her own here against Daddy Day and JKR. JKR now running them on in, trying to build some momentum back up here on this short run here. Bottles the throttle as well, starting to gain some momentum and ground. These guys and gals absolutely giving it everything they can to try to win this one here. No holds barred, no action-packed adventure is complete without a little bit of passing here and there. And right now, oh, contact made yet again there from JR and Young RCN already out of turn 2. Serious contact made between those two there. Young RCN doing everything he can to hold off JR there. To the inside line yet again they go. We're going to go on board here with JR. You can see what that draft is doing for him right now as he's just trying to hold on for what it's worth. Young RCN looks like he's backing off a little bit sooner, but getting back on the throttle a lot quicker than JR is. JR has to kind of pedal it out, then get back on the throttle. That draft is going to be crucial for him, though. You can see how much distance there is between those guys. They have to keep it going. They have to keep the momentum there. Daddy Day right now, I think he's just backing off a little bit, letting them run it out and see what happens here. Bringing them on around down the front straight away we go into turn 1 yet again. Daddy Day trying to see if he can get something built up, see if he can get one last little hit up in there. But Young RCN not looking like he wants to be denied here. JR is going to give it everything it's worth here. We're closing in on the final laps here as they bring them on down around out of turn 4. Young Racing and JR, what a story they have been this entire season. That all the battles, all the war, all the rage they have brought to one another. And this right here, folks, is what it's all about. It's between these drivers. It's between the story, the setup that they have brought to the table. NASCAR, he has been known for a lot of great memories and great moments. And now these two look to try to cement themselves in history, working them on around the outside. JR with a big run there on the outside to Young RCM, and Young RCM holds his own. Still to the bottom, Young trying to keep JR out of his sights and out of mind, but the more JR keeps battling with him here, the more things are just going to get harder and harder for him to control. On down the back straightaway they go, and it's between those two right now. Hoffey right now in the number 3, the only other driver besides Daddy Day and the 2 front runners that can even get the season title here. But Hoffey right now is currently battling it out there with the 17 of HD Nightster. HD doing all he's been doing ever since he joined up in PTM. He has done so much, not only on the Heat Series, but he's done quite a bit. Dustin Rouse as his name in the iRacing circuit. He's been one of those top guys you can't help but respect for being able to be moldable and be able to figure out both sets of series and both lines. He's been working them hard in both series, and he's just hoping maybe he can get something going for the next time around. But here we go out of turn 1 back in turn 2 here. JR doing everything he can. He knows that the season next season is too far away. He just wants to get a win in tonight and finally end this one. To the inside he goes yet again. He's got that corner bumper there off Young. Now to the inside, they work him on down around turn 3. They'll bring him down turn 4. You got the pass made again. JR has the lead. The PPG number 2 Ford Mustang has got the race lead yet again. He's running out of time. That is for Young RCN. If he wants to get this win in, he's got to figure something out. He's got to build up momentum yet again. And hope to God something will work and something will stick. Because he is not in contention to lose this one either. Bring him on around down out of turn 3 going into 4. A whole host going on here. These guys absolutely duking it out here. Trying to get the last bit they can in. Trying to get something built up. Now Young to the inside there. Trying to make us pass around JR. JR holding his own. JR trying to get in with it. Trying to get something built up. He's in the wall though. Young Racing is. Young Racing might have just sealed his fate with that little bobble there. He has fallen further behind. JR now, can he get this one? It's a dash to the end. JR just needs to hold out a little longer here as he brings him on down the front stretch. JR has never won a season title here in PTM, and he's definitely down to do it tonight. And what a way to do it, by being the champion here when it all is said and done and when it matters most. The one you don't mess with, Texas McCarthy still duking it out there with JKR. JKR, the Ford versus the Chevy. McCarthy giving it everything she can there on around turn 3, bringing it on into turn 4 here. The Exalta Chevrolet trying to stay ahead there as a JKR 32 machine. Trying to get something built up, maybe something to stick around for next season as they come on around here down out of turn 2 going in there. The Schulter system. 32 still in it, trying to get a last minute good finish and good placement here. Back on around out of turn 3, bringing it on in turn 4 yet again. No holds barred there between those drivers as McCarthy still tries to get some maneuvers down around there, not quite able to get it just yet. McCarthy right into the wall there. She's going to have some serious letdown on that one. That's going to cost her big time. But you can see Young Racing, he's actually starting to make up some ground here. He's not out of it yet. He just needs a little bit of a push and a little bit of giddy up. Starting to gain the draft, starting to build momentum. You can see how much he's starting to quickening up there, but he gets a little too close to the grass than he really wants to there. Car starting to tighten up. That car is starting to tighten up big time there, and it's starting to really play into the favor of JR. JR put hours into the setup, he told me, just trying to figure out what was going to be the best line of defense and best way to tackle this track. He said it took him so long that he just could not figure out if it was going to be enough or not, because he felt like these guys were going to be too fast for that. But right now, I'd say he definitely put enough effort into it to get it going here. Back on around the front straight away we go. It's starting to close in on laps here and start to close on in. And cars are slowing on down. I think that is calling for a caution there. No way of knowing. We don't have a point system here. Joshua Brantlinger chomping on in. Good to see you, buddy. Nice to say hi as well. JR still the race leader. He's slowing on down. Young Racing as well. I believe there was a problem for the paddles of throttle. You see everyone is still maintaining position and posting right now. Also, let me know real quick in the chat, because I can't tell, but is the video screen and all that okay on your end? Let me know down in the chat, please. They'll bring him on around. Young RCN. We'll start in the second slot still. Daddy Day in the number 1 will be in the 3rd slot. JR not out of the one yet, or wait a minute. Nope, that actually is the end of the race here, folks. JR, for the first time ever, will become a season champion here tonight. And what a way to do it out here on the Heat 5 circuit. The first time ever he has got his win in finally. After so long, he's done it. And it's hard to believe, but he also is your fast time there with the 29.073. That's blistering fast for this track. And that's about going to wrap it up here tonight. Once again, from all of us here at Pedal to the Metal Racing League, we hope you enjoyed that. And for what it was worth, I know we had stream issues, and I do apologize in advance for that. But that's really going to wrap it up here tonight. So from all of us here at PTM Racing TV, don't go out just yet. We'll get you in the No Limit Racing Series here in just a little bit. So for now, we want to say thank you. Be safe, God bless, and take care. We'll see you here in a little bit.